on the road somewhere. Was it Texas or was it Canada? Drinking whiskey in the morning light. Now up the stage all night long. At first we laughed about it. My long-haired drunken friends proposed a toast to Timmy's ghost. I never dreamed that I would wind up on the losing end. I'm stuck here on the inside looking out. I'm just another case. Where's my makeup? Where's my face?
Welcome back to Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. I am the co-host, Jeremy Vilmur. And, oh, hi, Bobby. How you doing?
Oh, hi, Jeremy. I'm doing great, man. Great to hear your voice again. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining me for a second episode of our show. We had our first episode. We're not up on iTunes yet. We're actually kind of getting our catalog put together. But how did you feel after last week's show?
Oh, you know what? I felt real good. I welcomed all the fans there. We had some good interaction, and I thought it went real well. Thanks. I was real pleased.
Yeah. So going into this week, you said you had something you wanted to do with movies you wanted to talk about real quick to get started.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I don't know if people caught it or not, but Jeremy comes in with, oh, hi, Bobby. And that was kind of our pilot episode. And, of course, that's from The Room. And I really like that movie. Jeremy apparently likes it. So I thought, you know what? We're going to throw out a movie line of the week. So last week was from The Room. This week, I'm going to throw you out a line, Jeremy. How about that?
Okay, let's see what I got.
And I know you don't know what I'm throwing out at you, but here's the line. Shit. You shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize.
Goodfellas.
Oh, so close.
What was it?
That's Mr. White off of
Reservoir Dogs. God
yes.
damn it, yes.
They're sitting at the table. Shit. He said, Mr. Blonde said, you want me to shoot him, Joe? He says, shit. You shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize. It's Harvey Keitel, but so fucking close on the Goodfellas.
You're right. For some reason, I was thinking Goodfellas. Probably because,
good call.
Yeah, well, probably because, Goodfellas is my favorite gangster movie of all time.
Right on, man.
Yeah,
right
on.
So there's our movie line of the week. That might not be a regular segment, but I thought, man, let's play off of that. With we went to The Room, now we went to Reservoir Dogs. Maybe next week you throw me one, I'll see how I do. But I loved it. So
let's do that. We'll maybe we can even get people on Twitter to throw us some ideas, and we can challenge each other on our movie knowledge as we go.
That sounds great, man. It sounds great.
And which, by the way, let's get started here real quick. If you guys want to follow us on Twitter, we do have a joint account that you can find at, I got to remember it now. At Bell to Bell Blaze, or you can find mine at The Geekish Cast. Bobby, where can they find you on Twitter?
Yes, Bobby Blaze 744 is the easiest place. And I do like the new Bell to Bell Blaze on Twitter, but you can find me at Bobby Blaze 744 and Jeremy at The Geekish Cast.
That's it. Okay, so to get started this week, we're starting to try to work on segments for us to have like a structure to the show. And one of the ideas I had was we'll do every week with a quick question, me for you, and you give me your feedback, or we can discuss. And the question of the week this week is, what's the difference between, or what's a situation where somebody would use a bump finisher compared to a hold finisher? Quickly
off the top of my head, I'm just thinking, if you're a tough, legitimate type wrestler, you could have those holds and instead of a bump finish. I think there's a huge difference because of the fast-paced. Today's product really fast-paced. But what my mind goes to is you can give someone like a power bomb or the Undertaker doing like a tombstone or something like that. But immediately come to my mind, or just because that pile driver was a good finish back in the day that's such outlawed, and we'll go to that maybe eventually. But I think when you go to a hold, you're talking about like a figure four leg lock and making someone tap out. So I think that goes along with what we're going to be talking about today, as well as in the future. And I won't put names on them. I'll just put them out there that, when you go with something like a move, like the pile driver or a power bomb or something, you can go with some certain people, and then others would have to have, like a crossface or a legitimate hold, versus like an RKO versus, Rings of Saturn or the Texas Cloverleaf, or, like to me, the top two would be as a pile driver for a move and the figure four for a hold. But I won't put names on those. How's that?
Yeah, I got you. Now, would you think there'd be a situation where, say, a heel would be more likely to have a hold or a bump, or a face would be more likely to have a hold or a bump finish? Or do you think there's ever a case to be made for that? Or do you really think it's more about the individual wrestler themselves?
I like the idea of the individual wrestler, but I think when that heel, when you think about it, when they have that dreaded, even if it's just like the oriental spike in the side of the neck or a nerve hold, the claw or something like that, I think it goes better with the heel having a really scary hold. I like that. And it goes back to also with the, say the pile driver. It become outlaw because, you was hurting people. Like Lawler could give Andy Kaufman cancer from it or something, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. But yeah, so I think it better if the heel has a hold that everyone, oh shit, when he puts that on you, that's it, lights out kind of thing. So, but hey, it's open to interpretation.
Sure thing. Well, we'll probably revisit that in the future, I imagine. And then, in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about our top 10. Matter of fact, the name of this episode will be The Greatest of All Time. And we're going to talk about our top 10 world champions in our opinions. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about some people we've interacted with on Twitter this week, and some shout outs and some thank yous to folks.
Yeah, go ahead and give one.
Well, yeah, the first one I'd like to do is Juliet Miranda from Morning Neurosis.
Oh, yes.
A podcast host and a writer, and who has always been friendly and awesome to me, but I think that you've been interacting with her some lately too as well.
Yeah, I'm a fan of hers, actually. I really like her podcast. I like her voice. I like her style, and I love it. And so I'm glad you mentioned her. Juliet Miranda, big shout out there, girl.
Yep, there's a shot of whiskey for you, Juliet.
There you go. Whiskey warms the bones.
Exactly. We put up, we're trying to figure out who our top 10s are. So I reached out to a friend of mine up in New York, Brian Cigneri from the rock band Reign of Zeus. And he said, hands down, if you go in the aggregate, Bruno Sammartino is the greatest champion of all time. So Brian, thank you for giving us that piece of info. Also, if you're into rock music, please go check out his band. It's Reign of Zeus, as in Dr. Zeus from Planet of the Apes.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah. How about you, Bobby? Who you got?
I had a couple. Who first? We'll come back to the gentleman that mentioned Frank Gotch in one voice, and then another voice. He comes back with fucking David Arquette. That was Dave Black, by the way. So if anyone put David Arquette on your list, you know what? I beat that motherfucker in 2 seconds. That's how it wouldn't be a 3-second match. So fuck you if you put David Arquette down. But anyway, big shout out there, Dave Black. But bigger shout goes to probably Mike Mills from over there at Booking the Territory. That's who my shout out goes to, is Mike Mills. He interacted. We had a couple people from Booking the Territory as well. I recognize their names, but I'm gonna go ahead and give Mike Mills a big shout out.
Yeah, so thanks to Dave Black and Mike Mills for getting involved. There are a few other people. I just, if you did interact with us and I didn't get you on my notes, sorry. I will catch you next time. Please don't take it as an offense. Yeah.
So,
and then Bobby, we'll do just a quick catch up between us and the fans, and then we'll get started on our top 10. So how was your week this week?
No, let me ask you this. I know how my fucking week was. I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to tell you. And I want to know that you tell me. How was your week?
My week was, it was all right. It's, my work has been super stressful. We just lost a truck driver, so that was kind of shitty. But, nobody died, so I can't complain too much.
Speaking of shitty, okay? So here's my week, okay? I thought we'd have this little segment. Hashtag it BBS. And no, it's not Bobby Blaze Smedley. It's big bullshit of the week, okay? Here's my week. Listen, before I go into this, if you're over 50, take this very seriously. I had a colostomy the other day. So, had to go to the hospital to have this done. No scare. Everything's clean. I'm good. Okay. That's the good news. But here's the thing. You've got to prep for it. Before they go up in your ass, you got to prep for it, okay? And you have to drink about 4 liters of this diluted solution. And I'm going to tell you how I did it. It didn't bother me one fucking bit, Jack, because I'm tough, okay? Now, here's the thing. I just emptied out a beer can. You got 4 fucking liters you got to drink. I just kept refilling a 12-ounce beer can and down that shit. By the end of the day, I had me like a fucking 12-pack. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was just so I made that. Then the next morning, you got to drink another solution, and the prep works the hardest. Once you get past that, they're gonna go up in your ass. Well, of course, you're gonna shit your fucking brains out because you're drinking that stuff. You're not allowed to eat, and I'm a fat ass, and I like to eat. But the next day, I had to drink before going down there 10 ounces of pretty much what everyone said. Oh, it's going to taste like Sprite without the sugar. And you know what? It was pretty fucking good. I had mine iced. I just drank it. I done it one big gulp. It was 10 ounces. But about 10 minutes later, my fucking belly felt as bloated as Abdullah the Butcher's. And I barely made it to the bathroom. I didn't have to be to the hospital till later on in the day. Well, that one hit me. So I go down to the hospital and I have to go. And I walk in the bathroom, and there's shit on the back of the commode. I'm like, where the fuck is housekeeping when you need them? But I don't have time to even do a double take. I turn, I bend, I squat, and it's, boom. It's water, pretty much liquid. So I think everything's good. They call me back. I'm back there. And when you change clothes, you have to put that gown on. It's open in the back. And I take my clothes off. I looked down the back of my legs and it looked like someone had taken a highlight marker and streaked my legs. Of course, they give you an IV. They start asking you a bunch of damn questions. They're not running a medicine yet, but they're just, right there. And so she says, well, what was the color of your last movement? I said, if you want to see it, look down the back of my fucking legs. This nurse just started cracking up. But anyway, it all went well. So yeah, if you're over 50, go have a colostomy done. Thankfully, mine was all clear, but I got through it really good. And, hey, here's the thing. Take care of yourself the best that you can. I tried to make it as fun as I could because you know what? I knew by the time the end of that day was going to happen, I was getting ready to get fucked, and I did. But the good news was out of that came, I'm all right on the inside. So that was my week. That's my BBS of the week.
And that's the important part, by God.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we'll get ready to get started. I don't even know how
fuck me sideways and don't forget that. Anyway.
I don't even know how to follow that. So we'll just keep moving. Right.
Let's move right to the top 10.
Yeah. So, let's do this real quick. Guys, if you want to interact with us, don't forget our website, blazedbell2bell.com. Also, don't forget about our Facebook page. It can be found at facebook.com/groups/bell2bell. And with that said, let's get started with the greatest of all time. Bobby, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Hey, you know what? It's my fucking show. That's why it's called Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. So how about this? You're hosting it. You're helping. How about this? I'll be a gentleman. You go first. But before you do, I want to say this. I do not know who's on your top 10, and you don't know who's on my top 10. We've dropped hints to each other, but I don't know who they are. So anything that happens from this point onward, man, I'm not responsible for what comes out of my mouth. If I don't agree with you, you say what the fuck you want. I don't care either. All we know, fans, if you're listening, you want to interact, I do know who the top number one is, and he knows who my number one is. From there, everything else is boom, go time. So, yeah, please feel free to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to throw this out real quick, a little bit about methodology that we used here. We went with just basically the three recognized world champions from the three largest factions that existed. AWA, NWA, and the WWF through the WWE. Obviously, Bobby and I are a little bit older probably than some of the listening audience, so some of these references are going to be lost. I am not from New York, so there's going to be a lot of guys in here who are left out. That being said, none of this is meant to offend anybody, upset anybody. This is in my opinions. And that being said, I'm going to start with my number 10, and keeping in mind, I am using a lot of what the impact of their title reign as to whether or not they're in my top 10. And so my number 10 is Bill Goldberg, WCW champion.
Fuck. I was victim number 67, just so you know. He speared, as Nick Patrick said, he speared you out of your fucking boots, Bobby. Good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice. I didn't even have him in my top 10. I didn't have him in my fucking honorable mention. No disrespect to Bill Goldberg. Good choice.
You know what? I actually agonized over that one. But what do you got for your number 10?
My number 10, you're going to hate me because I know a little bit about some different little things, and I'm not a New York guy. But hey, my number 10, get ready. I'm going to get blasted.
All right.
Vern Gagne.
Vern Gagne. You know what?
Number 10.
I am not going to say whether or not I have him on my list, but here's the thing. Vern gets shit on a lot, but he's a hell of a technical wrestler.
Yes. I think he doesn't get enough recognition. I hated to put him at number 10, to be honest with you, because I went with my list as to how I felt as a fan, and I wanted to have fun with it, So I had mixed emotions, man. I could see your number 10 being on there, but I wanted to move Vern up, but I kind of took a different approach, and that's my number 10. Who's your number 9?
My number 9 is Brock Lesnar. Only because Brock is the last guy who's bringing some realistic credibility to a title.
Wow.
He only defends every now and again, and everybody in the audience is always thinking, fuck, if he really tore loose, he could just beat the holy shit out of whoever he's in there with.
I like that. I'm going to say it right now. I don't have him in mind, but I can see him being a top 10. I love it. Man, that's you're right. And that's the thing. I love it. Good choice. My number 9, a little bit more old school than that. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Superstar Billy Graham.
Oh, there we go.
The superstar. That's my number 9.
Yeah. Now, give us a little bit for people who may not know Superstar. What was your reasoning?
Reasoning being just because he was someone I saw when I was younger, saw him on TV as well as having to see him in person. Super duper body. Not the greatest technical wrestler, obviously, but not even a wrestler per se, for wrestling skills, but for performance and just the look. Man, he was one of the first to have the longer bleached blonde hair, super great body, and could talk that smack and talk that shit. And it was all, that's why. Because to me, in my mind, he was like the guy that you was like, that is one bad motherfucker right there. That was the epitome of just a long-haired, big, muscular wrestler guy. That's who comes to my mind first of all, right there would be someone like that. Don't fuck with that guy.
No, I follow you completely on that one. That's a hell of a choice right there. All right. You want to do number 8 or you want me to start?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll go number 8 because his names came up a couple of times. Keep in mind, I'm going not on longest reigns, not box office, because I did some research on box office, things like that. But I'm not going with that. I'm not a New York guy. Growing up, I did see it when I was younger. Missed several years in between. But I certainly respect this guy, and may he rest in peace here recently, the great Bruno Sammartino. That was my number 8.
Yeah, that's a very good choice, actually. I'm not going to say whether or not I have Bruno, but well, here's the thing. By the time I started watching wrestling, Bruno was an announcer. I didn't know Bruno's legacy until the last 15 years, probably. Really,
Yeah. I didn't either until probably a little bit sooner than you did, but not as much until I got older. Kind of like yourself there. As I aged, I kind of I looked back on that because I didn't, really remember him being the champion other than by name as well. So, yeah, that's just my number 8. Who you got?
All right, my number 8 is the man called Sting.
Ooh.
Now, I was a fan of Sting's even back when he was in the UWF as tag team partners with Eddie and Rick Steiner,
Wow.
And
good choice.
Yeah, and that period of time, of course, there's a lot of my stuff that's going to be colored by the NWO or that era, what I've termed now the modern golden age of wrestling.
And I like that term, so thank you for throwing that out there.
Yeah.
I like that.
And Sting was a badass in the UWF, and then when he became like the guy in WCW after the Turner buyout, he carried that okay. And then when his look got old and, bright colors weren't the thing anymore and he turned into the Crow, that was a badass turn as well.
You know what? I have to agree. What a great fucking choice to have. I'll be honest. I didn't have him in my top 10. Honorable mention, yes, but wow. And that's a tremendous choice. Thank you. Wow. All respect to Sting right there. Good choice.
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Yeah. Big fan. All right. Let me do my number 7 just because I want to get caught up to you a little bit here. My number 7 is a man who pulled his federation out of the NWA and told the NWA champion for him to be AWA champion, he had to come and face him, Vern Gagne.
There you go. Yeah. I want to put him up there higher like you did there. That's great, man. That's great. So that's your number 7 is Vern.
That's my number 7 is Vern.
There you go. Well, you want to hear my number 7?
Absolutely.
I didn't get to see this man wrestle that I recall, except for on film as I got a little bit older. Luthez. I always respected the NWA title, and you'll see the themes throughout Jeremy and mine's top 10. I think it's starting to emerge just a little bit, actually. But I went with Luthez for my number 7.
Yeah, now see, I'm of an age where Gotch and Fez, I would have loved to put them in here. I have never seen anything they ever did, though. But I mean, you don't have wrestling without Gotch, Fez. You know, there are names, you know.
Right.
And I'd even throw Fuller and Welch's in there, but there are Fuller and Welch's now that we can look at, you know.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. I saw Fez a lot just on black and white films and stuff in Japan and just old NWA here and there spiced together throughout my life, you know. So that's, it's one of those things, like you say, you can't not mention the Gotches and Thez, and that's why he comes in at number 7, Luthez. So,
all right.
Who you got for 6, pal?
All right. Well, I've got one of the baddest men on God's green earth.
Ooh.
Handsome Harley fucking Race.
No argument there. Top 10. No fucking doubt, man. And when you said God's green earth, I knew right there. And I'm going to tell you, all respect to Harley Race. I'm going to leave it at that for right now, because unless you have something else to say about Harley.
Well, no, just Harley fought. I mean, there's not a territory or a major promotion you can point your finger at that Harley wasn't at. Harley was a 7-time NWA champion. I don't believe he ever held the AWA title. But look, there's Harley Race came from an era where they only put the NWA title, on a man who was bad enough to legitimately whip the ass of any baby face they put him in the ring with, wherever they sent him.
That's right. Harley
went all around the country and most of the way around the world, and there was never a doubt that Harley couldn't put a beating on any asshole they put in the ring with him.
I agree 100%. I'll reserve a couple of remarks that you just now said for later on, because I agree with you 100% on that. Great choice. My number 6 was Bob Backlund. That's who I had. He was champion when I was a little bit younger, you know, and I always respected his work and stuff. And I just that baby face, and also I had some sentimental value because one of my grandmothers, she's from up in Maryland, that was always her favorite, was that little howdy doody Bob Backlund. So that's the main reason, kind of a little sentimental value there for my grandmother.
Oh, sure.
But certainly doesn't compete with the Harley Race at that point. But I got Backlund as number 6.
Very nice. You want to do your number 5?
Yeah, I do, and I'll tell you why. I appreciate you asking, because my number 5 is Harley Race. Harley Race is my number 5.
Wow, there was a swerve.
I gotcha. But yeah, Harley Race. You said you what you just now said. He went around the world, you know, defending that title, legit badass. And man, you know, I was just a huge fan of professional wrestling, but I was a huge fan of Harley Race because there was something about him that you could just tell that guy could go. And then the stuff I heard, you know, once I got into the business and learned more about the business, nothing but respect for Harley Race. So that's my number 5, Harley Race.
That's good. Well, I'm getting down into my numbers here, so you know my big choices have to start coming now. Like I said earlier, this one is a guy I discovered later, but having just recently passed away and read up a bunch about him recently, and probably because, you know, right now is a good time to look at him with the rose-colored glasses, is the great Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah.
And,
good choice.
and I'm sure, him recently passing is what brings him to top of mind for me. But, you go back and you look, and he sold out Madison Square Garden more than anybody else. He controlled his own business better than anybody else. And he can make or break another wrestler with just a decision.
Yes, what a great choice.
Yeah.
Like I said, back to mine, I had them down a little bit lower. I wish I could have moved them up, but as you'll see, as things are emerging here, as we're getting down to nitty gritty, I really respect that your number 5 is Bruno. So great choice. All respect to Bruno. There you go.
Absolutely. You want me to do my number 4?
Sure.
Superstar Billy Graham.
Good choice, man. Number 4.
Yeah, number 4, Superstar Billy Graham. And there's a reason for this. Now, if there's no Billy Graham, you don't get to the bodybuilder, bleach blonde, bad talker, mash you right in the pie hole kind of guy. So, no Jesse the Body Ventura.
I was going to say that. When I was thinking, man, I hope, because I know where I'm going with it when I get on up my list here.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping you was going to say there's no Jesse Ventura, which is going to lead to someone else in just a few minutes, we'll say.
No fucking Hulk Hogan.
I'm just saying, man.
No, all your bleach blonde, muscle bound dudes, your bodybuilder wrestlers, all of them, all the bad. You know what, man? Maybe even no fucking Austin Idol without superstar Billy Graham.
Yep. I love that choice. Love your choice.
I think Superstar, he rebuilt what a pro wrestler looked like and acted like. You're right, not a great technical wrestler, but the guy could pick you up and throw your ass across the room.
That's right, man. That's right. With that said, I will go to my number 4, and I'll make it quick so we can get to our number 3. How's that?
Sounds good.
I went on this one here. He wasn't a champion for a real long time, maybe 18 months, but I had to throw out some different people because he's my favorite all-time wrestler, and that is none other than Terry Funk.
Funk.
NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and I just loved him, and I still do. So I went on sentimental value, more my all-time favorite, and I know the guy could wrestle, he could talk, good body, and I loved him. And I know it has everything to do with wrestling, but also just his interview. He took a lot of his interview when I spoke with him in person. He really put over Professor Boris Malenko based off the interview. So Terry, to me, I had to put him in my top 10, and I had to put him somewhere. And I actually at one point had even taken him and Dory out of it. I was like, nah, I can't. But I had to put him in for sentimental and personal preference. I put Terry Funk, number 4.
Yeah, that's a great call right there. All right, so now we're getting into our top 3, and before we do that, I want to do a couple honorable mentions, people I wish I would have had. Like, I wish we had done our top 17 so I could have fit more people in.
Yeah.
But, obviously Gotch, Fez, and for me, one I'm going to feel bad about leaving off is Dusty. I really should have had him in here, and I didn't. I don't know that he would have been in my top 3, but he definitely should have been in my top 11.
Well, that's funny because we did not discuss this beforehand. I had a little honorable mention, and I was hoping you'd throw it out because if you didn't, I was going to. If we could have done one more, I would have put Dusty Rhodes in there. That was my honorable mention, and I was like, man, I definitely wouldn't have been in my top 3, but yeah, all respect to Dusty Rhodes, man. What a great honorable mention. Thanks for throwing that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, since we're talking about it, the Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks have their own wrestling thing coming up called All In here pretty soon, right?
Yeah, I heard that. Hey, like we talked about before, all respect to guys like that, like the Young Bucks, like Cody Rhodes and stuff. They're out there. They found a way to get over and learning and making money and creating something really good for professional wrestling. And anytime you can do that, man, that's awesome. So good shout out. Yeah.
Well, also Cody Rhodes will be facing Nick Aldis, if Nick Aldis still has it, for the NWA title at All In.
Yeah, and I know you're a big fan of his, right? You turned me on to some of his work. So
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
You know me, I'm always going to like the heel NWA champion. When
there you go.
Yeah, when Billy Corgan bought the NWA, I all of a sudden got all like romantic for the old belt and thinking, God damn, somebody could actually do something with this now.
Yes, I'm glad they are. That's to me is the all-time greatest championship belt is the NWA belt. I respect all 3, like we put them up there, like we talked about. But to me, that was the belt, the NWA Heavyweight Championship belt.
Yep.
So good shout out there, man. We ready for his top 3?
All right. So Bobby, why don't you give us your number 3 pick?
Yeah, I was trying to go by Funk without saying too much, and obviously I said too much because I'm such a fan of his. But from Superstar Billy Graham on yours to Hulk Hogan's my number 3 because without Superstar Graham to Ventura to Hogan, Hulk Hogan changed the whole face of professional wrestling from the time. No, he just made an impact. He was money. People, if you go back and listen to interviews, people talk about they could see dollar signs when they saw Hulk Hogan. And then once he appeared in Rocky 3, made the jump and then not debut because he had already been there, but when he showed up and there's a money-making fucking machine, and when VKM and a WWF at that time and what they've done for WrestleMania, Hulk Hogan's my number 3. It's not based on box office because we know he drew huge money, but he had the body. He had the so that's the look. Folks, he could actually fucking wrestle. You don't believe it? Go back and watch some of his matches in Japan. Watch some of his early stuff. He learned, Hiro Matsuda trained him, so you got to carry that on your back. Hey, this guy, so Hulk Hogan, I went on, and you got based on popularity, but talking, body, and wrestling, he had all the ingredients. So there's my number 3, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I don't think it's deniable. Hulk Hogan belongs. Look, I'm not even a Hogan fan. Hulk Hogan belongs in the top 3 of greatest world champions. He revolutionized it. He carried the belt for a long time. And when people, still to this day, when people want to say wrestling, they say WWF or WWE.
Yep, absolutely.
They're looking for a wrestler to compare you to. They go to Hulk Hogan.
Absolutely. And I heard that so much through the years. People say, do you know Hulk Hogan? As soon as they say you're a wrestler, and I think Hulk Hogan is one of, you don't have to be a fan of his, but you have to put him in the top 3.
Yep.
So,
well,
that's my number 3.
Yeah, to follow that up, you don't have to like it. You just have to sit down and respect it.
Yeah, there you go.
And there you get to my number 3, Nature Boy Ric Flair. I would have put him higher if Impact weren't such a big thing that I am working with here. Ric Flair is one of the greatest of all times. I would say that an argument could be made that he is the greatest of all time. But you know what Ric Flair isn't? Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
Look, Hulk and Flair.
I'm respecting your opinion, man.
Look, Hulk and Flair carried the title at about the same period of times.
Right.
One was NWA champion, the other was WWF champion. And people still, when they wanted to say wrestler, they talked about Hulk Hogan, not Ric Flair, unless you're a wrestling fan. Now, if you're a wrestling fan, Flair's the top of the top, man. He is at the top of Space Mountain. And we're not talking about his penis. We're just talking about a high mountain.
Right.
Yeah, so number 3 is Ric Flair for me.
Total respect for that one. Total respect for it. And I'll come back to that, I'm sure, at some point during this podcast. Because that's going to take me my number 2. You want to hear it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nick Bockwinkel.
Okay.
AWA World Heavyweight Champion of the world. Nick Bockwinkel was and is the man. So, that's my number 2. So there you go.
All right. Well,
there's a reason why I said that just now.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, my number 2 was never able to beat your number 2. My number 2 is Hulk Hogan, who again, I said is, synonymous with pro wrestling. He was the template of what a modern pro wrestler should be, how they look, how they talk. Did Chris Adams land more than one super kick on you?
Fuck you. Why would you bring, why?
Just kind of.
Because I said Nick Bockwinkel's number 2?
Yeah, it makes me wonder. Well, you know what, maybe let's get a little perspective here. What's your number 1?
My number 1. Woo! The greatest of all time, baby. You already mentioned it, Space Mountain. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Woo!
Well,
that's my number 1.
Look, I got nothing but love for Nate, but I got to say, out of our top 3 here, there's only one guy that Race never beat, Flair never beat, Hogan never beat. Shit, I don't think Vern Gagne beat him. The greatest world champion with the greatest world title belt, the champ, the number 1, Nick fucking Bockwinkel. And anybody who thinks I'm wrong can go eat a bag of dicks. Nick Bockwinkel was the greatest technical wrestler. He was the best at pissing off people when he was a heel. Kurt Hennig had to use a Larry Zbyszko fist pack to beat Nick Bockwinkel when Nick Bockwinkel was in his 50s. Well, man, there you have it. Nick Bockwinkel, greatest of all fucking time, world champion, Nick Bockwinkel.
Yeah, I guess you're going to fucking... Man, you know what? I'm just telling you right now. Fuck you, Jeremy, because, here's the thing. God damn it. When you watch Ric Flair, you saw one hell of a match. When you watched Nick Bockwinkel, you saw one hell of a match. And it didn't matter who they was beating and whether they was going over or they was world heavyweight champion. I went with Ric Flair because of this right here. I went with him over. We could go to a fucking hour Broadway on this if you wanted to and say, we'll put this title. But it's my fucking show, and I'm just going to say this right now. It fucking both were naturally gifted. You fucking, they both worked hard. I'm a fan of both their works. But you know what? With Nick Bockwinkel, you never fucking saw the same match twice. Ric Flair was a fan of Nick Bockwinkel's.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck. Hold on a second. Fuck me. What the fuck do I know? Fuck. You know what? Is this what you want to fucking hear right now? It's my fucking podcast. Pin me, pay me. Bockwinkel, okay, for what it's worth, okay, he's the better champion.
Yeah.
But then again, what the fuck do I know? You know what I'm saying? Because here's the fuck. I know this much. You fuck a crack whore and you fuck a meth whore. You end up fucking the same girl twice. Fuck me running backwards. I'm going to put it on you. Well, you know what? Just like that colostomy I had this week. Fuck me sideways. You know what? You're right. Nick Bockwinkel. Oh, fuck. You, look, just pin me, pay me, motherfucker. Okay? I have no, okay.
Yep, see?
There you go.
There is, look,
Damn.
you know, and here's the thing. You know I love Flair. Everybody knows I love Flair.
Yeah.
Nick Bockwinkel, man, we don't think of him a lot, but when you go back and you watch back when he was, when he was with Ray Stevens, but definitely when he was with Bobby Heenan, you'd have to be a booger-eating moron, kind of humanoid, not to realize what a great speaker and wrestler. And you're right. When Bockwinkel did a match, you never saw that same match twice.
No.
Yeah.
And Flair admitted that, he done, when he was working with Dory and Harley and even Terry, when he even got to do his matches, he was still during their matches, and when you go to bodies, they both have great bodies, great speakers, different style of speaking, because Bockwinkel, again, was so articulate in his speech. And then technical workers, man, hard working night after night out there giving it to those fans, man. You can't dispute either one of, I don't think, Bockwinkel as your number one or Flair is mine. But, I'll tell you, about 2 years ago, I sat down in the winter and just watched a bunch of Nick Bockwinkel over, the course of a couple hours throughout the day. I was doing themes, and when his name come up, I went, "What? His work is just fucking incredible." So total respect for you, Jeremy. What a great choice, man, of Nick Bockwinkel. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind, and hopefully some of the fans, please feel free to voice your opinion. We threw out that hashtag BBBB on Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze, but total respect for your number one, greatest of all time world heavyweight champion. Congrats.
Yeah. And not to mention, Nick Bockwinkel was also on an episode of The Monkees.
Wow, what a recall, man.
Yeah.
What a fucking great recall. Wow, man. That's good stuff, man. So, hey, I think we could both sit here and argue till we're blue in the face, but I don't know that I want to do that because, like I said, we'd go to an hour Broadway, and I know we're coming up on some time limit draws here, but total respect, man. And I hope the fans enjoyed this podcast with the top 10 greatest of all time. Hopefully they enjoyed Jeremy's list. Hopefully they enjoyed my list and took something away from it from a wrestling fan's perspective. And if you have an opinion, please feel free to hit us up on either the Geekish Cast or Bobby Blaze 744 or the new on Twitter on the new Bell to Bell at Bell to Bell Blaze or Bell to Bell Blaze podcast. Hit us up with BBBB. And let us know what, we'll give some shout outs. We'll give some respect. Just let us know, man. I total respect, man. Total respect.
Yeah, absolutely. Your list was great. I hope you think my list was good enough. I know I got a little more.
Oh, it's awesome. No,
Yeah.
Man, I loved them all. You threw out a couple that just blew me away. I just was like, that's the thing, man. It's highly subject to who your objective views. So, no, I thought your top 10 was an awesome top 10. I thought we both had a really good list. I thought the number 11, we both coming in without you speaking about it, was Dusty for an honorable mention. And our top 3 was so interchangeable with Hogan, Bockwinkel, and Flair. So, no, total respect, man. What a good list. What a good list from both of us, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Bobby. So what do we got planned for next week for everybody?
What we have planned for next week, we had talked about the death of WCW. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. I think next week's podcast, we'll throw some hashtags out there on Twitter. Jeremy will tell you in a minute about the Facebook link. And then also we'll go into the I don't know if it's necessarily the rise and fall of, but we'll be talking about the death of WCW World Championship Wrestling, somewhere that I was employed for a couple of 3 years there. I'd have to go back and look at contracts, et cetera. But, we'll just talk about the death of WCW. How's that? Does it sound like a good subject?
That sounds like a good one to me. Also, next week's question of the week, and this will be for anybody out there who's an Alice Cooper fan, the song Millie and Billy. How does that end? What's going on at the end of that song? I've got an opinion. Bobby's got an opinion. I want to know what you guys think.
Yeah, I think that's a good question to throw out there. So be thinking about it, folks. Be thinking about it. So, we're coming up on our close here, I think, Jeremy. I hear the bell in the background. Ding, 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 ding. But,
I need to get a bell sound effect.
Yeah, we do. We'll get one. We'll get one. I've done a show, just done some MC work just recently. They didn't have a fucking bell, so I'm like, ding-a-ling, motherfucker, ding-a-ling, there's your bell, whatever. But yeah, let's get us a bell sound in here. But let's start wrapping things up by throwing out a few shameless plugs here, if you will.
Oh yeah, go ahead and start us off.
Oh, I just want to say, hey, if you like this podcast, let us know, man. Let us know what's up. Visit us at Bell to Bell Blaze on Twitter. Visit Jeremy at the Geekish Cast on Twitter. Visit me at Bobby Blaze 744 at Twitter. And Jeremy, I'll throw it back to you for that Facebook page if you don't care.
Yeah, it's facebook.com/groups/Bell to Bell.
Yeah, and I'll try to make some appearances in that group. I won't make any promises. I'm just not a big Facebook guy. It's not a dig towards Facebook. It's just one of those things where I will send some stuff over to you, and you can feel free to post it in that room. And hey, man, what a great time I had being here today. We welcome all your listeners. What's the word I'm looking for? Interaction.
There you go.
If you want to interact with the Bell to Bell, we are at Bell to Bell Blaze on Twitter. And the hashtag to use on anything is BBBB, Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. Use the hashtag BBBB. That's 4 big B's. And let us know, hey, you're listening to the show, you enjoyed the show, and you're a friend or a fan or a follower of the show, and you liked our list today for the top 10 go-to greatest of all times, And also you can do the hashtag ask me fucking anything, and I'll try to get to that on down the line somewhere. But right now, I hope you enjoyed our top 10. Thank you for tuning in with us. And Jeremy, I think you have something special as we close out here.
I do. Are you talking about the song we're going to go out with?
Yeah, surprise me, motherfucker.
You got it. Hey, also, I just want to throw out there before we roll up, we are talking about rolling out a Patreon and maybe a Reddit page. So those of you who are following us on Facebook or within the sound of my voice, hit me up. Let me know what you think. Let me know what some good rewards would be. Also, what some topics you would like to hear us cover would be. Bobby, anything else to add?
No, thank you very much, Jeremy, for being such an awesome co-host and just becoming a really good friend of mine. And I appreciate, respect totally for your list and for more importantly than the list and the podcast. Thank you for the friendship, my friend.
Well, and the same to you, Bobby. It's been a blast getting to know you. Hopefully our audience has a good time getting to know both of us. And until next time, bye-bye, everybody.